Cody, no problem. Fellow Toastmasters and esteemed guests, we're really thankful today to have some new guests, some new faces in our meeting today. We are going to begin with a brief review of all the roles in our meeting. So will the timer, John Murphy, please give a description of the timer's responsibilities?
What I'll be doing, I'll be flashcards. Making warriors.
All right, you could do either one.
Oh, I'll try this one.
Okay. All right.
What I'll be doing is timing the speeches tonight, as well as the table topics. And for the speeches, at 5, I'll flash a green in the speaker. At 6, I'll flash a yellow. And then at 7, I'll flash a red, signaling that you should be wrapping up your speech by that time. I'll do the same thing for the table topics, only it's at 2, 2.5.
Susan, would you mind sharing with us the table topics portion of our meeting?
Yes, I'll be asking for volunteers to come up and I'll be giving a topic, just impromptu speaking. It's to help people kind of develop the ability to speak off the cuff.
And guests are welcome to participate. And if you want, we can give you the speech prompt before you volunteer, or if you would like, you can volunteer and we'll give you the speech prompt beforehand as well. Do we have the counter and the grammarian role separated today, or is it one?
I can do
Okay, great. Cody, please share with us.
I'm the grammarian for tonight, and I'm going to be keeping track of everyone's crutch words, so filler words like so, things like that. And for anyone that doesn't want the clicker, just let me know before you speak or look it up. But if you say a crutch word, we will click these dog trainer things here we have. And it helps to get better at it. We kind of gone through periods where we do well, and sometimes we get back in the habit, so this helps us to correct that. And we also have a word of the day, and I'll keep track of people using that. And today's word of the day is ratiocinate. I guess that's how you pronounce it. And its definition is reason or argue logically.
Can you please spell that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you have a pronunciation?
Is that a verb?
Ratios.
Yeah, it is a verb.
Okay.
I Googled.
Ratiocinate. Yep, like you said it.
Can you give that definition again, please?
Yeah, sure. Reason or argue logically.
And finally, the final responsibility of this meeting is the general evaluator. Cheyenne, did you want to share a little bit about what you think the general evaluator's roles are?
Yes, so this is my first time doing the general evaluation, but what I will do is at the end I will go through each person who had a role, and they will let us know the times of each speech, how many crutch words were used for each speech that was given, and then I will also give us a summary of our meeting.
Thank you. And just for a bit more context for our guests in the audience, usually our meetings are broken up into a few parts. We usually start off with the prepared speeches, and we have Heather today who's going to give a prepared speech, which is very great. Then we go into the table topics opportunity where guests and members are allowed to participate. Then we go into the evaluation stage where we have a discussion on the general aspects of the meeting, as well as an opportunity to get some nice feedback on the prepared speech. And then if we have an educational review, we also do that, and then we wrap up with awards and other things. With no further ado, I would like to welcome to the lectern Heather. She's giving her 9th speech in the Competent Communication Manual titled Persuade with Power, with the purposes of persuading listeners to adopt a new viewpoint or ideas or take some new action. Heather, please come forward.
Like everyone else, you want to learn the way to win, but never to accept the way to lose. To accept defeat, to learn to die, is to be liberated from it. You may be thinking, what? Lose? Why would I want to do that? open your mind. I can't tell you to think differently about something. To really understand takes time, effort, and a reason. So what is the truth about failure? The long version starts with what we're taught about failure from the beginning. When I look back, this is what I think of. Failure means you mess up. You make a mistake. Maybe you'll be embarrassed. It didn't turn out the way you wanted it to. For me, failure was my biggest fear. I always wanted to do great. I always wanted to be the best. I always wanted to be part of the top. I became so obsessed with success that the idea of failing led me to have anxiety problems. Aside from stress, tension, and trouble sleeping, at times I would physically shake. In a simple way, and like many people, I also had low self-esteem and self-doubt. When I messed up, instead of treating myself with kindness and recognizing that it was okay, I would beat myself down. And then there was success. Success was the only acceptable option. I wanted the grade or the reward or the recognition. Because of this kind of thinking, it wasn't good enough if I practiced day and night on one song. It wasn't good enough if I stayed up all night studying and doing homework and then woke up early in the morning before I caught my bus to do more homework. It wasn't good enough to fail. That's who I was, and it led me to heartbreak. As a student, I was also a musician. Every year, high school students across the entire state would practice for the entire school year to audition and play in the Alabama State Band. I never wanted something so badly. I remember I would check the website multiple times per day in the summer to see if the audition music was posted. When it did come out, I began practicing day and night. I volunteered to practice in front of my entire high school band, or to play my song in front of my entire high school band in hopes of getting some of my nerves out in time for my audition. I even skipped other classes to practice. The day came. The hall was lined up with more than 100 other flute players in Mobile alone. I did my audition. The results came out. Only 6 people made it. I was not one of them. All I could think of was how I didn't do as good as when I practiced alone, or how I was too nervous, or how I was a failure. This mentality persisted until roughly a few years ago. Always being so nervous when giving a presentation or doing a performance, one day in one moment a thought came to me. Couldn't it be okay to mess up? My life changed. Everyone has heard that it's okay to mess up, but really until that one moment, I never understood what that meant. It's still hard sometimes because my whole life I had been taught that failing, that messing up was a bad thing. But because I was able to change the way I looked at it, I have grown more as a person in recent years than I have most of my life. If not me, take it from one of the most successful people in America, Barbara Corcoran. This huge real estate investor that's invested in tons of companies and properties on this TV show called Shark Tank. When she was a kid, she was labeled as stupid because she wasn't school smart and she was dyslexic. Today, she's like the biggest name in real estate in New York, and she attributes her success to being able to fail well, because it's not just what you know, it's how quickly you can get back up when you fall. It's no mystery that success comes to those that almost crave mistakes. Because when they fail so much, they don't see it as a bad thing. Because they fail so much, they learn so much. And they get better than people that are just too afraid to fail. I mean, honestly, aside from doing anything illegal or immoral, learning from messing up can take you anywhere you want to be in life. You really have much less to lose than you think. It's like when I approach trying to get an interview, I see so many people that are not willing to do what it takes to actually get an interview. The people I talk to, granted, most of them are probably a lot younger and maybe aren't really familiar with jobs and how these things work, but they'll apply and they'll maybe like call once or twice, because any more than that might be pushy, right? Again, what do you have to lose? You don't have the job right now. You don't have anything. You only have room to gain. The worst that can happen is that they'll block your number or you'll be banned from the property, which hasn't happened to me yet. I think it's pretty unlikely. Here's what I do. I make sure my professional presence online looks great, make an awesome resume, write cover letters, make phone calls, contact people on LinkedIn, go in person. I'll get really persistent. I may not call every day, but if I really want to get an interview, I may call every 3 days until I do get an interview. Even if I ended up getting banned from the property, would I really have been better off just applying and calling once or twice? I don't think so. But with that, I want to close by saying that I am afraid of failure. I am. But I know that if I want to grow and get better, even if I'm really afraid, I'll jump in. I will look failure in the face and say, I am afraid of you, but a confession is the most you're going to get out of me because I'm going to grow and get better one way or another. So it's okay to be scared of failure, but when it comes to those that are growing and learning, the ones that get up when they fall never really fail. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Heather, for that really great speech. I think the constant phrase in my mind in listening to your speech was that failure in many ways is a really important teacher. So I'm really glad that you could share that message with our audience today as well. I think that is done. That is all of the prepared speeches for the agenda. So we're going to move on to the table topics portion of our meeting. Susan, will you please come forward?
I will. Toastmaster, honored guests, we're so happy tonight that you're all here, and tonight we're going to be doing some statistics that may or may not be true, but I'm going to ask someone to come up and comment whether or not they think it's true and why. And you can expound on it. So, who would like to have the first statistic? Cody, okay. 13 people in America are killed each year by vending machines falling on them. Do you believe that? Why not? What's your take on that?
So I've heard this statistic before, and I've never actually sat down and looked it up or put any thought or effort into trying to figure out if that's true or not. But I have seen some of my colleagues, when the Snickers bar gets stuck after they put in $1, they get quite aggravated. And then I've seen some of the bigger, stronger guys actually take the machine, shake it, move it until the Snicker bar falls out. So I've witnessed that. So I do have proof that people do that. So maybe someone has maybe slipped or maybe had some kind of medical issue while doing that from the physical exertion and passed out or something, and the machine's falling on them. So I want to say that could be true. 13 a year seems a little high, but there's a lot of people in the world. So I think I'm going to say that I believe that statistic, and that's what I'm going to go with. Thank you.
Very nice. That was a really great answer. I bet you that's right. I mean, as many office buildings as there are, and
Is it just the United States or everywhere?
in America. Yeah. So, all right, the second one, who would like to volunteer? Diego, okay. In 75% of America's households, women pay the bills and manage the money. True or false?
Thank you, Susan. The question posed to me that I'm going to try and resinuate for y'all today is that in 75% of America's households, women are the money brokers. They're the ones who are guiding where finance is being spent. And I'm going to say that's true because I think that I can speak in my own household experience that my dad is the one who earns a lot of money, and he doesn't he on the basis of faith and respect and love for my mom, he doesn't care about the money management aspect about it. He believes that my mom is not going to embezzle the house or something like that. He's very confident that my mom will know, okay, these are the finances that need to be paid, these are the responsibilities that need to be taken care of. So I want to say that that's true on the basis of my experience in my household that I see every day.
All right, thank you so much. Very good. All right, let's see who would like to volunteer for this next one. Maurice. Experienced waitresses were polled. They say married men tip better than single men. True or false?
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guest, as I stand here and attempt to ratiocinate the question that was posed to me, do married men tip better than single men among a poll of waitresses? In my limited experiences in tipping waitresses, I would say that's true. Because not that there are no single men that tip very good, but the married man, I guess, has a little more experience in charming. I guess. So that is my way of ratiocinating the question.
All right. Thank you, Maurice. All right, we've got a couple more. Who would like to volunteer? Cheyenne, okay. 40% of dog and cat owners carry a picture of their pets in their wallet. True or false?
Hello everyone, yes. First, the question that I've been given is, what was it?
40%.
40% of dog or cat owners carry a picture of their pets in their wallets. My first question would be, what year is this statistic from? Because we have moved to the digital age, so I do not have a picture of my pets in my wallet, but there is a special album on my phone that is named Ollie for my little Fluffy. So I would have to say that this statistic is false, just because the amount of printed pictures that we have, I feel like, has lessened over time. And also, like I said before, a lot of things have moved digital. We don't use cameras as much as we use our phones, and we post to social media more than we go and get our pictures printed. So, there you go. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cheyenne. All right, anyone else? Would anyone else like to come forward and give their opinion about this next statistic?
Plenty of times.
Would you like to?
I'll do it.
Okay.
What the heck?
Okay, here's yours. You are more likely to be killed by a cow than a shark.
You're
more likely to get killed by a cow than a shark. I'm going to agree with that stat because we would think that the shark is the one that's going to kill you. And when I think about sharks and shark attacks, the thing I think about is Jaws. All seen that movie. I've watched that movie so many times. But there has been, even in recent times in Baldwin County, you may have known about a teacher who was in multiple kind of contests, swimming, running, bicycling, and he was in the water at Gulf Shores and a shark attacked him, but he did not die. It was just a loss of an arm, which is serious business. But I'm going to say that maybe a cow, those restless, unbelievable cows, they get out there, they stampede, they do terrible things. So I'm going to go with the cow, not the sharks.
All right, thank you. Do we have time for one more?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. All right,
Rob.
who would like to do this next statistic? All right, Donovan, come on. Here's your statistic. 1/3 of all Americans are at least 20% over their recommended weight. True or false?
Well, I would like to ratiocinate that there are different sides to this argument. So there are different ways that people might think some people are overweight, but what I believe is that it's about how much people exercise, and how much they eat. So if they limit the amount they eat, it will give them less of a chance of being obese or being overweight. You exercise well, there's always a good way to limit yourself at different things. And I hope everything, this statement is a very good argument. And I agree with this. And I believe that everything is about limitations. And that's it. Thank you.
Very good. I always appreciate when guests get up and just give it a go. Do we have time for one more?
I think maybe we should wrap it up.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for participating.
Thank you, Susan. Susan, that was a really great table topics opportunity. Way to think outside the box with that. And I want to echo Susan's remarks again. We're really thankful for our guests taking to the stage and exercising a special moment of courage, because usually other guests don't step into the stage immediately. So we're really grateful for that. Now we're going to move on into our evaluation section of our meeting, and Justin is our first speech. No, I apologize. I'm going out of turn. I'm going to invite the general evaluator up to the lectern. You want to invite the first evaluator to the stage?
Okay, I would like to invite the first evaluator up to the stage, which will be Mr. Diego again. I'm sorry, Mr. Justin.
Oh, no problem. Hello, Toastmasters, guests. So we all had an opportunity to hear Heather give a great speech about rethinking failure, great topic, one that I can relate personally to. I struggle with some performance anxiety stuff myself, so that really was something that I could relate to very closely, and a lot of what you said are similar viewpoints that I've had. So great speech overall. I'd like your use of eye contact, your hand movements. You could be moving around a little more, and that's also something I tend to do. And also, I noticed it was clear that you were reading from your notes, and that's something I do also. I tend to make a speech where I'll write out everything I want to say, and I've noticed that a lot of people will just run from bullet points, and it does make the speech feel more natural in your speaking tone if you're working from notes rather than a script per se. So was the speech relevant for the occasion selected? Yes, it was excellent from that standpoint. Did the speaker understand and express the feelings and needs of the audience? Yes, and I really liked that you related some personal experiences with that. I think that added a lot of warmth to the speech and made it a lot more enjoyable. Was the speaker forceful, confident, and positive? So I think you could work on the confidence up here a bit, but I gave you a satisfactory on that. Did the speaker effectively use stories, anecdotes, and or quotes to help convey his or her message? So I put excellent there because Heather related personal stories and personal experience to the speech topic. Did the speaker's words convey strong, vivid mental images? Yes, because you had some imagery there of your own experiences and the difficulties of the anxiety around fearing failure. Did the speaker's use of body language enhance his or her message? So I give you a satisfactory there. So you are using hand gestures, but you could be a little more natural in your movements and move around a bit more. You're moving a lot with your hands, but not so much with the rest of your body. Did the speech uplift the audience and motivate them as the speaker intended? I gave you an excellent on that, and one of the great things that I liked about your speech was the closing. The closing was very good. The ones that get up when they fall never really fail. So that's an excellent way to look at it. You can't become so afraid of failing that you don't take risks. What could the speaker have done to make the speech more effective? Work on a speech where it's not as clear that you're reading from your notes. Know the topic a bit more and not have to rely on the notes as much. I did think the eye contact was good, however. What did I like about the speech? I liked that Heather shared personal stories regarding her fear of failure. So very good speech, Heather. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, at this time, could we get the report from the timer?
Yes. Heather, your speech ended at 7 minutes and 40 seconds. Table topics. Cody, yours was 1 minute 3 seconds. Diego, 1:09. Maurice, 1:14. Cheyenne, 55 seconds. Rob, 1 minute 8 seconds. Donovan, 1 minute 10 seconds. And Justin, your evaluation was right at 3 minutes sharp.
Okay, and could we also get a report from the all counter?
Yes. I'll give the full grammarian report. For Diego, didn't catch any crush words. Good job. You used the word of the day as well. Justin, during your evaluation, you had 4 uhs, 1 and a so. Cheyenne, you had a couple uhs and a so. Heather, during your speech, I didn't catch anything, which is great. So, no, yours was a light, right? That was
Yeah.
I didn't see that, so you really improved on that, so awesome job. Susan, I didn't catch anything from you. John, 0 as well. Maurice, no filler words, and you used the word of the day twice. I had 2 so's. Rob, I caught 1 so very good. Donovan, I didn't catch anything, and you also used the word of the day, so good job. And that completes the grammarians report for tonight.
That's all girls, right? Give it back to you, General Editor.
Okay, so I'll now do my general evaluation of tonight's meeting. So to begin with, we started on time. We had time to meet and welcome our guests. We filled in Cody on the missed meeting, and we were reminded to pay our dues as soon as possible. Next, each person with a role for the evening explained what their jobs were, which I know is helpful for me the first time I came because I had no idea when they started saying evaluator, all counter. So that kind of just gives you an idea of what we do. Then next we had a thing that came to my mind, and he said this as well. We worry so much about the future and getting everything right the first time we try it, that we end up not doing anything because we're afraid to mess up and fail. So it was very relatable, I think, to everyone, whether you admit it or not. So after that, we had our table topics, which went very well. Heard many statistics that I'm going to go fact check tonight. And I wanted to comment that I've enjoyed the themed table topics. Our space adventure that we had last time was fun, so I've enjoyed that and hope everyone else has too. Then we had our evaluations, which was good positive feedback. Also helped me, and I haven't done a speech yet, to know what everyone's looking for and what I need to work on before I even give my speech. That is all.
Thanks, Joe. Now I turn it over to the acting president, right, to do the educational overview, is that right? Or
Yeah, you're pretty much.
okay, I'm going to turn the lectern back to Cody, our president.
Copy it.
Sure, you can look on.
That's okay. Okay. I don't believe we have any awards tonight. Do we get those pens in?
We did, they're in the box over there.
Okay, so we could, they're the Pathways pens, right?
They're, I believe they're Toastmaster pins. That's-
Toastmaster pens, okay. Did y'all do any of these last week, no?
You got yours.
So is everybody that's now a new member, they have their Toastmaster pen?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, good. So I'll try to, super early, so I'll try to fill something in for educational overview. I don't have anything planned, but then pull something from the Okay, so this is a good one. So this is from the Toastmasters magazine that we all get as members. And this was, I think a couple of months ago, this issue. But the topic is 3 steps for adding humor to your speech. So this would be the topic for the educational overview for tonight. So step 1 is a little counterintuitive, and it says, don't be funny. Talking about trying to add humor, and the first tip is to don't be funny. So they say when you're giving a speech, your focus should always be on presenting a clear and concise message. Too often speakers try to shorten a joke into their speech because they want their audience to laugh. The outcome is more disjointed than complimentary. A common approach is starting the entire presentation with a joke, hoping to lighten the mood. Consider, however, that the first lines of your speech are crucial. It's valuable real estate to give a joke that may hit or miss. If you tell a bad joke, the entire structure of your speech could come crashing down. Always think of humor as a decoration. Your message is the foundation. That's a good tip. Tip 2, look for the handles. After your first draft is written, take a second look and find opportunities to insert jokes that augment your message. Joe Tofflin has been head writer for former American television show hosts David Letterman and Jay Leno, and in his book, Comedy Writing for Late Night TV, he talks about looking for handles in a headline. Handles are words that you can hold on to as you look inside your speech for opportunities to add wit. One of my clients is a neuroscience professor. He, more than many others, understands the value of humor on influencing minds. The problem is neuroscience can be quite boring, making complex terms relatable is skill. For example, read this line from one of his lectures. The hypothalamus makes up less than 1% of brain mass, yet it perhaps the most important 1%, but is perhaps the most important 1%. In this case, we grasped onto the handle 1% and considered what else the students might know about the reference. The other 99% of the brain was responsible for the Occupy hypothalamus movement a few years ago. And then step 3 is to know your audience. So I'm not going to read through this one, but make sure that you're well aware of who you're speaking to. You don't want to tell a joke that is offensive to your potential audience and might not get a laugh. So whether you're speaking to a group of college kids or senior citizens, you might need to change your material to be more relevant to what they're aware of and the kind of pop culture that they're into. And that is 3 tips to add a little humor to your next speech. And then Thomas did one not too long ago. He redid his icebreaker and he made it a humor speech. It's actually pretty good. It's kind of like a stand-up comedy routine, which is impressive. So you can see how he's come along. I think I would completely bomb at doing something like that. But we're fairly early, so if anybody had any other business that they had thought of during the presentation of the meeting, if not, we can end a little early. All right, we'll now adjourn tonight's meeting. Thank you, everyone.